Check.
Check, check. If everybody can scoot up, please. Scoot up. We want to look good for the picture. Scoot up, scoot up, scoot up if you can. Scoot up, as close as possible. Front row is cool too. Well, welcome everybody to the Kingdom Father series. My name is Chauncey Harris. I am the Youngstown Agency Coordinator for Urban Family Development Center who put this event on today. Give a round of applause for Mr. David Fuellen. Give a round of applause for him. Round of applause. He's the owner and founder of Urban Family Development Center out of Columbus. So I'm here to introduce the panel. We have some very powerful men. And I want to kind of give you a little bit of their background. First, Pastor Toby Walker is a devoted husband, father of 6, and grandfather of 5 with over 25 years in youth ministry. He is committed to strengthening families through marriage counseling and has served faithfully in jail ministry, offering hope and restoration to those people. Everybody, Pastor Toby Walker. Next, we have Mr. Clement Franklin. Clement is a dedicated public servant, community leader, currently serving as Director of Park and Recreation for the city of Youngstown with a deep passion for the community and youth development, family engagement, and neighborhood revitalization. He has led impactful initiatives that create safe, inclusive, and empowering spaces for the community. A devoted husband and father of 3 beautiful children, Clement leads his family by following his Lord and Savior, striving to live a life rooted in faith, purpose, and integrity. Everybody, Mr. Clement Franklin. Now, Pastor Donaldson got a long bio, so I'm gonna condense this mud. Pastor Kenneth Donaldson was born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio, and a graduate of the Rain School class of 1986. Kenneth attended Middle Tennessee State University to pursue his education and play football. He was a walk-on who obtained a scholarship and became all-conference at wide receiver. In 1990, Kenneth received his BS in psychology and a Master of Education in Curriculum and Instruction from the same institution. He also went to Dallas Theological Seminary where he obtained a Master in Theology with an emphasis in urban ministries. He also has served under Dr. Tony Evans and has been the pastor here for over 20 years at Rising Star. He has served also for YSU. He's the personal development, right? Personnel development? Player development at YSU. He has a number of so many things that's 2 pages long. Everybody who knows, give it up for Pastor Donaldson. And last but not least, my boy, Brian Youngblood. Brian Youngblood is the founder and executive director of the Evolve Innovation Center, a nonprofit based in Youngstown, Ohio, dedicated to strengthening families, transforming education, and building sustainable communities with a background in biology from Virginia Military Institute and a master's degree in curriculum and instruction from Youngstown State University. Brian brings a unique blend of scientific thinking and educational strategy to his work. Beyond that, great man, great coach, great father, Brian Youngblood.
Good evening, everybody. I'm gonna try that again. We in church, so we need some amens in here. Good evening, everybody. Can we give Pastor Donaldson and the Rising Star Baptist Church a round of applause for opening their doors to us? And we gotta give Sister Christina a round of applause for that food. My goodness. I don't know about y'all, but I ain't touched that peach cobbler because I might have been laid out in the back, but I got a couple of them on deck ready to go. But we just want to thank all of you all for being here tonight. As Chauncey mentioned, my name is David Fluellen, and I am the founder and CEO of Urban Family Development Center, a nonprofit organization, and we have expanded our efforts, our fatherhood program here to Mahoney County, and we're so excited to be here in the Valley. And we have made some amazing friends that have welcomed us with open arms. And we're just so excited about the work that we have been called to do in the space of fatherhood. And we have, again, been welcomed with open arms. So thank you to everybody that's here on this panel. Special shout out to Youngblood, who has walked alongside of us since the time that we got here. And so I am excited about the kingdom conversation. So disclaimer, I was raised in the church. I'm a pew baby. I'm a pew baby, but when I turned 17, I went crazy. I found myself in the streets, and from the age of 17 to 26, that's what I did. And everything that go along with the streets hustling and all those things, sign me up for it, I did it. And so I am totally aware of the role that the church also plays in community. And for some time, we have been wanting to have a conversation intentionally about the role that the church plays in shaping fathers and in the community. And so I'm so excited to have such a phenomenal panel here with us today. We're going to do some talking, but we want to hear from you all as well. So we have a few questions that we're going to pose to the panel, and then we're going to open it up and hear from you all, because this is not something where we're here to just talk to you. Amen. But we want to hear from you. And so I'll start the conversation off, and I'll start with Pastor Toby here. And I'll ask this question and pose this question to all of our panel members. We learn how to father based on a father that we did or did not have. And so some of us have been asked to do something that we've never seen done before because we did not have a father ourselves. One of the things that we share with our dads in our programs is that one of the greatest things about being a father is that I get to choose and I get to decide the type of father that I'm going to be to my children, regardless of if I did or did not have a father. So my first question to the panel is, if you did or did not have a father, and how did that affect the way that you father your children? And I'll start with Toby, and we'll just work our way down. And y'all know y'all got some preachers up here, so we're going to tell the preachers to, there you go, pull that. He said I can pull your coattail. They used to do that when I was coming up. My grandfather had a bell. He was real old school. He'd ring a bell on you. It's probably one of the most defeated things ever, to be up preaching and you hear a bell. But on you, Pastor Toby, talk to us, man.
That's a great question. I'm going to pass this question, then I'm going to get it on the back end. Is that all right?
That's all right. That's all right.
So thank you guys for being here. I would have to say I didn't have a father growing up. Well, let me correct myself. I didn't have a dad. My great grandfather, he always corrected me. He would say, "You have a father. That's your Lord and Savior." And he put the Bible in my hands, which led me to raise my child as a young man back here. He's a junior, Clement Jr. So I didn't have a father. I had different men that I thought was my father. And, I didn't actually meet my real father until I was 19. So that was 2 years from me having my 15-year-old son. So I would really, say that the Bible had a lot to do with it. Also, of course, my great-grandfather and my uncle, seeing them raise their kids and seeing how they raised me went a long way, and then also people in the community as well.
So how does that play a role in the father that you are today to your children, not having your biological father, but blessed enough to have a grandfather and some uncles? Not having a father, what role does that play in you fathering your children?
It played a major role. It gave me the insight on children that don't have fathers. Where it said where I said to myself, I was always looking for that identity, which at the time I never found. So I said I never wanted my child to feel that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Searching for me. I had an opportunity when he was, not even 1 year old, to leave and go and make money, and I turned that down. People say, "Oh, you crazy? I was going to go to Boston, Massachusetts. I was offered $100,000. This is a young man that was making at the time probably $20,000 a year.
Wow.
And if that, that was something that I said, I'm not leaving. Boston for Boston, Massachusetts, to leave my son, no matter the price.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm gonna get the blood, and then we're gonna hear from the wisdom on the board. Toby don't get to go last. He don't got the wisdom. The Bible say he called the young because we strong. I got some great too.
Strong. He's definitely strong.
Yeah,
man. I tell you that much.
Brian, talk to me, man.
Yeah, man. It's interesting for me. My dad wasn't around for the earlier part of my life. In and out. I won't say he wasn't around. He was in and out. So I did try to emulate the style, the way he spoke, the way he walked. You know what I mean? I would try to do and pick up everything that I seen him do, even if it was for a short period of time. But I always say it came full circle because my dad right now is probably one of my closest friends. You know what I mean? Him along with my grandfather, because neither one of them were around as I was coming up through adolescence. So I was left to navigate life with the influence of athletic coaches and older brothers and uncles. And the crazy part about that were a lot of them didn't have their fathers around. So it's like a repeating cycle that has plagued us as a community for a very long time. A lot of fathers that never were taught how to be fathers, and it's a generational thing. But I am proud to say, man, as I look around throughout my generation, I see more and more dads being heavily involved with their kids.
That's right.
It seems to become more of a popular thing. Everybody wants to show their child's pictures. They're going to daddy-daughters dances. I mean, you see this one that they hold here locally. There's so many fathers that go out to this event. They get dressed up with their young girls and take them out to these dances, man. And it's a magical thing to see, man. So I'm excited with conversations like this, what they're going to come to be, and, what the city of Youngstown's going to grow to be, and all these fathers that we see here tonight, how great our children are going to be, in a decade from now.
It's statistically proven that fathers are more involved now than ever in the history that they've been tracking that data. And so, the generations that came before us, they went out and went to work and killed the calf and brought it back home to mom. She cleaned it and cooked it, but they didn't show up to the basketball games. They didn't show up to, I grew up in church. You wasn't playing none of that anyway. But we see now that dads are more involved. They're going to the daddy-daughter dances. They're involved in sports and things of that nature. So great point, young blood, great point. Toby, talk to me.
I didn't grow up with my father. Him and my mother, they were married. They got a divorce, and he lived locally, but I never seen him. So when I became a father, I tried to be the opposite of him. But there were a lot of his ways that I picked up myself. So I thought I was a good father because I provided for them financially. but I picked up a whole lot of ways that was actually hurtful to them. So when I began to live with my grandfather, he's from the old school. He paid bills, but he was a philanderer. So I picked up a lot of my grandfather ways, and a lot of my children saw that. So me trying to be a better father, I was a good father, but I also passed some of those ways that I learned down into my children. So it was almost like a catch-22. So how did it help me? It helped me to be there for my children, where I never, left them, but I also instilled some ways that I kind of regret now, looking back. So if that makes sense.
Good stuff. Pastor Donaldson, talk to us.
Yeah, I'm probably the minority. I was actually raised by my dad. My dad was married 3 times, and each divorce, the kids stayed with him. That was very, very uncommon at that time, and it's uncommon in this day. My dad wasn't saved. He was a man's man, and he didn't play. And we call him Mufasa. We call him the Lion King for a reason, because he knew that raising young men, particularly young black men, he knew that it was important for us to be strong and to lead and not be followers. And that helped me as a father. I mean, my son is running the sound and doing the sound right now, and I've been a part of everything that he's been a part of. Everything that he's played, I've coached. And so that's because my father was there. He would be up in the stands, lit. He would be toe up from the flow up.
But he was there.
I could hear my dad. They say, y'all, they're going to Mr. Donaldson. And so my dad was like the community dad. So I was really, really fortunate to have a father who was there. I can't remember a time when he wasn't there. And so
awesome. Yeah, we again, I said it earlier, we learn how to be a father based on the father that we did or did not have. And I said that statistics show that dads are more involved today than they've ever been in times past. The other great thing about that is you have a lot of great resources for fathers, not as much as you see for moms and women, but there are fatherhood resources. I know here I can speak to Youngstown, and we're so grateful to be a part of the Round Table, which is a space that has been created for men to come and have conversations about things that matter to us as men, and we do that every second and fourth Thursday right here in Youngstown. So if you've not tapped in with that, please make sure you tap in with that. But fathers are the central figure in the development of their children. And so I think one of you all made mention of we're always looking for that approval from a man role model, specifically usually our dad. And if we don't have a dad, we're going to find another male. And sometimes that male role model ain't a good role model, right? And so we find ourselves involved in things that may not be any good for us. But again, we're looking as we're developing. That's why it's important that we as fathers are involved in our children's life, because as they're developing, they're looking for that dad, that male, to fulfill that desire of approval, if you will. We as men, we some tough guys, right? We don't never need no help. We got it. I'm good. I got it. Which causes a lot of us to suffer in silence. And we hold stuff in, right? We don't want our wives, we don't want our girls, we don't want the homie down the way. You growing up in my hood, you better not be in your feelings and expressing your emotions outwardly. Because if you was having a bad day and you expressed it outwardly, it was gonna get worse. Because somebody might run them pockets, or something might happen. Oh, you having a bad day? Oh, you can't get worse, And so we tend to suffer in silence. What can we do? What should we do as men so that we can have spaces and opportunity to release? My uncle used to say it all the time, pressure busts pipes. And if you keep pressure in, if you keep it locked in and you never deal with it, you never talk to anybody about it for the fear of being judged, how do we break that cycle? How do we break that cycle of us men not talking to other men, not being able to express our emotions outwardly? I'm going to go to Blood, because Blood, I see you ready.
Nah, you just hit on it, because you said suffering in silence, but when you do it, it tends to become a very loud noise, and it may be internal, but after a while, it rears its ugly head, So, yeah, you saw me leaning forward a little bit, right? Because I go back to those moments, man. I know where I was at one point where I kept all those things bottled in, You think about those moments when you don't feel too good about yourself. You start to doubt who you are, what you are. You start looking and, thinking about all the mistakes you've made, and you go to bed beating yourself down, you know what I mean? And to heal that, you need somebody to bounce that off of. I need somebody to help me reestablish that confidence, and when you don't have that, man, it gets scary, it really does, where your mind will take you. And one thing is that I had to start realizing that I wasn't alone in it. And the more people that I spoke to, I saw that they were dealing with similar things.
That's good.
So when I started talking to young black men that I see up here with me right now, I started to see that we're in the same place. And that made me feel a little better, not because they were dealing with the struggle as well, but just let me know that I wasn't alone, man. So I think you got to find somebody that you can get some of that stuff off of you and release, and allow them to breathe life back into you when you can't quite find it yourself.
That's good, Blood. That's good. Being able to ask for help is actually not weakness, but it's strength, right? Being able to ask for help doesn't mean I'm weak. It means I'm strong in the fact that I understand and realize that nobody can carry the weight that some of us carry and keep it inside. It is not physically possible for us to carry all that. We got work, we got kids, some of us got baby mamas, some of us got, criminal issues, fighting cases and dealing with the judicial system, on probation and parole and all those things. It is impossible for us to deal with all of those things by ourselves. It is impossible. Clement, tell me, you working in the community, you've been in the community a lot. What's your thoughts on that? Breaking the cycle of us as men dealing with the pressures of life, and it seemingly seems that it's not as easy for us to talk about those things.
Well, first thing, I think that, us as men, just all around, we have to rewire ourselves on what a real man is. I think we've been conditioned. Well, I know we've been conditioned. I know myself, get punched in the chest if I'm crying, get smacked in the head if I'm crying. We got some women telling us.
Stop all that crying like a little girl.
100%. We got some women telling us that we're not real men when we cry, when we open up to them. I think we, again, us as a community, but just, even in the world, we just got to get conditioned and to letting each other know it's okay to cry. It's okay to be overwhelmed. It's okay to have feelings, because just like you stated, emotional intelligence, I see it's a lack of around, with a lot of the young ones and even the older adults. You got road rage and that's not just from that incident. That's just from building up and building up and building up and building up and suppressing, what's the anger inside and not letting it out, to have people like ourselves to come talk to.
And Clement's one of those guys that anytime you see Clement, people out here probably can relate. He's going to give you a hug. He gonna give you
Yeah,
a
he
smile.
gave me a hug. I was like, oh, okay.
A strong hug too.
All right, all right. I tried to give him some dap. He was like, nah, man, come in. I said, all right, cool.
He gonna give you that love you may have been looking for.
I said, maybe it's a Youngstown thing. I don't know. But it's good. I mean, and I think conversations like this also help lower that guard, if you will. I was just in the conversation earlier today, I was in a meeting up in Columbus, and we were talking about, I was sharing with them how you would be surprised that when you open up spaces like this, how men open up, right? When you provide the space, when you provide the opportunity, and people and men feel like and they deem it safe and know and honor that the confidentiality will be there. There's no judgment. For me to sit here and tell you, bro, man, I'm struggling right now. And I feel like I'm going to crack any moment. For me as a man to be able to say that and know that none of y'all out there going to judge me is a beautiful, powerful thing. But I think the more we talk about it, the more we have these type of conversations in spaces, it helps as well. Toby, talk to me, man.
I believe that behavior is taught. You know, it's funny because me and my brother, we was just having this conversation. Y'all must be prophetic or something, because
Bring me some strings. Give me some strings. I'll
Get him
flow.
a hanky. But no, I think Frederick Douglass said it best. It's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And that's what we're dealing with now. He just hit it right on. I was just telling him, we condition our young boys to be hard. If they fall, you say, stop crying. You're acting like a girl. You know, you're a sissy. And then when this person becomes an adult, it's hard for this young man to express himself. And we wonder why he can't love his wife. He can't love his brother in the streets because we have conditioned him. Even myself, I was so hardened. At 17 years old, I would put on church music in the middle of the night, imagining my grandmother in the coffin just so I can cry. Because I was so hardened by life and my father not being in my life. And so I would take my anger out on people in the street. We as fathers, we have to condition our young men that it is okay to have emotions. It is okay to cry. And I believe we are the root cause of a lot of our young boys taking their anger out on people in the streets.
Come on, give him up for that one. Toby, I'm gonna need you to watch your tone up here, man. You watch your tone. You
Get nervous.
Toby get ready to preach in here. Well, watch your tone, Toby. No, but you made it, and so I heard both of you all talk about, in so many words, emotional intelligence, right? My son is 20 years old. I don't, and I think Blood, we were talking about this, or somebody was talking about this, maybe it was Chauncey. He's 20 years old, and when he turned around 11 or 12, I start really making it a point to let him know I love you, right? Love you, man. You know what I'm saying? He's 20 right now. Before we hang up, all right, I'll talk to you, man. Love you. Love you too, Dad. Man, you can't put a price tag on your kid saying I love you, Dad. You can't put a price tag on that. And so again, when you start to be intentional about developing the conversation, where was I at? We were just talking about this, but we were talking about that, creating and training them to be able to know how to deal with these emotions that they get. It's people sitting in the penitentiary right now because they never learned how to deal with their emotions. There are people even worse off in the grave because they never learned how to deal with their emotions, because the way that I deal with my emotions is to react and take it out on people. Ain't no talking. We ain't talking. We got a problem, ain't no talking. It's on sight. That's how we was raised. What we talking about? What we talking about? You know what I'm saying? On sight. And so some of us, again, was raised that way, but it is our responsibility. It is each and every one of our duties to make sure that our children and the children, not only our children, but the children that's friends of our kids. Because a lot of times they don't have a father themselves, and you're that role model for your kids' friends. But that's a great point. Pastor Donaldson, I want to hear from you. What's your thoughts?
I basically echo everything Pastor Toby said. It has to be taught. And not only does it have to be taught, it has to be caught.
Come on.
And so
Come on.
when our young kids, particularly our boys, when they see us deal with our emotion, and I don't have a problem crying. I don't. You know, I might be preaching and then I might be crying. It doesn't matter, because my emotion doesn't define who I am as a man. So our young people need to see us. They need to see us. That's when it's caught. That's why we got so many young boys that act like women. It's caught. If they see how grandma act and mama act,
that's right,
and there's no man to emulate,
that's right,
they catch that. Even if they're not gay, they caught what it looks like to be a woman.
Yeah.
And so having real men around them, they can, even if they're not your own kids, you just pick up on things. You know, my son, he has kind of a walk like me. You know, now that he's older, it's kind of funny. And he tells me about his kids, and he's saying stuff that I said to him. He's like, "Yeah, I know, Dad. I'm starting to sound just like you." And it's a compliment, but this is why it's so important as men that we show up. There was a story about some elephants in the wild. They were rogue, and what happened was the poachers had killed off all the male elephants. You hear that story? And so these young wild elephants was going just terrorizing villages and so on and so forth, and they couldn't figure out what to do to stop these young rogue elephants. And then someone had the bright idea to drop in some adult male elephants. And guess what happened? They got them together.
Got them together. That's
it
right.
was caught.
That's right.
So the older elephants taught the younger elephants, this is how we roll. We don't go just running in villages and tearing up, so we don't do that. And so our community is a community where our young people need to catch what it really means to be a real man. We got to show up. And when we're hurting, we got to say, I'm hurting. If it requires tears, I don't have a problem crying. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to let you, I'm Pastor Donaldson and all of that, but I ain't going to let you hurt me. Period. I'm not. I'm going to pray about it, but I also know Taekwondo.
Shall I pursue?
And so, and when my heart is heavy, I cry. Man, listen, I can remember years ago, and then try to make this quick. Man, I had a mental breakdown in graduate school. I'm the only African American in my class, and I had a mental breakdown. And I'm sitting there having an argument in my head because I had held so much stuff, hurt, disappointment. You don't cry. You suppress all those feelings. I'm sitting in class, and I had a breakdown. It went from anger to grief, just like that. And I'm sitting in class in tears, and people are looking at me like, this brother that lost his mind. And I decided on that day, I'm not carrying nobody else's garbage.
Wow.
Ever again. And that's what it was. I was carrying a whole lot of hurt, disappointment. I wasn't taught how to express my emotion, so I held it all in, and then it just jumped out one day, and it embarrassed me. People are looking at me like, man, this dude, he lost it. And I decided that day, never again will I carry other people's garbage that way.
Wow, that's powerful. Which leads me to my next question. We talked about the weight of fatherhood. We've talked about, carrying the weight and breaking the cycle of holding that in and not letting it out. And next, I want to talk a little bit about how do we as men, in the midst of all of those things, the financial pressure, the family, the partner, your wife, your partner, your career, all those things, how you stay motivated, right? How some of us do have people that we can call on. Some of us do have friends. But how do we stay motivated to continue to pursue those things? A lot of times we know what we want to do, but sometimes we don't know how to do it. And when you don't know how to do it, sometimes you get discouraged and you just be like, man, forget it. I'm going to stick to what I know to do, what I've been doing. So as a father, as a man, and I'll start with you, Toby, what do you do and how do you stay motivated to be the very best version of yourself for you first, but then for your children, your kids, and for your family? What do you do to stay motivated?
Pray without ceasing.
Let's go.
Cast all my cares upon the Lord, for he cares for me. If any man lacks wisdom, let him ask. To me, as a believer in Christ, that's my go-to. I go to God when I'm in trouble. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. So for me, I go to the Lord and take it, and I have good brothers who I can call. We sharpen one another, but that's my go-to. Like Pastor Donaldson said, I had a nervous breakdown. I was laying out on the concrete, talking to myself, walking through the city of Youngstown, holding conversations with myself, sitting in abandoned houses, talking to myself, constantly in and out of the hospital, talking to myself because I was trying to carry all of the weight of the world on my own shoulders. And I had to learn how to give it to God, and he snapped me back in my right mind, and I am here standing before you guys today. So I don't question who to go to. I know who to go to. So that's what I got to add to this conversation.
No wonder you on fire up here. Look, with that type of testimony, my God, what a testimony. What a testimony. Clement, what about you, bro?
I'm going to have to definitely say just what you just stated about who you got to go to. At one point in time, I didn't know. And, but I knew someone that did know. And I got with them. And they showed me the way. And I knew the way and never forgot the way. So at the time, I didn't know. And just having someone that did know led me to have that, that map.
We'll go to Blood, and then we'll give Pastor last. How you stay motivated, Blood? You got a lot of stuff going on. You running a nonprofit. You running around all over the place, facilitating large and small groups and all kind of stuff. How you stay motivated as a father, as a business owner, all those things?
I'll be honest. My family motivates me most. I get to wake up every day and see my little girls. I get to watch my wife, get ready for work and give me a kiss before she leaves.
Watch it now.
I come home and my girls are running out the door screaming, "Hi, Daddy." You know what I mean? Like, that energy is what gives me the strength to continue when I might be down myself, because I got a whole household that's looking to me for that power, for that energy, for that motivation. So in my mind, I have to be that person. And I know the weight's going to get heavy. I realize that. But that's what we learn to carry as men, and that's okay to realize we're supposed to carry some weight. Ain't that right, Toby? We're supposed to put some weight. You know what I mean? You know, I used to go work out with
Hold on,
Tobe,
what kind
man.
of weight
And,
y'all pushing? Hold on.
hey,
man.
Tobe will put
Pushing
about
weight.
200
Hold on.
pounds on the bench and say, all right, we're going to do this for 20 reps. And this is the third or fourth set. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, those are the type of things, though, you know, and I was blessed to be an athlete, and I love that idea of being an athlete because it teaches you to push through adversity. It teaches you to push yourself to a limit that you didn't even realize that you possessed. You know, when your body wants to completely shut down and you have nothing left in you, it's something, this little piece that gets you to get that next rep off your chest or finish that next sprint. You know what I mean? Or getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning for that 6 o'clock workout for double sessions. You know, those are the type of things that get instilled upon you or into you, you know, from an athlete's perspective. And I think a lot of that is carried over into every aspect of my life.
Wow, I was, I'm going to get Pastor Donaldson. I was on a podcast. That's where I was having this conversation. It just came back to me. And we were talking about not giving up. And one of the gentlemen that was on the podcast with me was a boxer. And he talked about getting knocked out or knocked down. And as he was talking, what came to my mind was that 8 count that you get. You get an 8 count if you knock down to get yourself ready to get back up. And when he was talking, I was like, wow, we all get an 8 count. And if you're a boxer and you train, any boxers in here? Anybody? Don't be lying in the church now. Don't be. But I'm assuming, I don't know this because I'm not a boxer, but I'm assuming that you know you got probably till about 6 before you really, you know, you want to take advantage of being down, right? Until probably about 5 or 6, and then you get back up. But that thing hit me like a ton of bricks. I was sitting there, and it said, I took my phone out and I wrote it down. I said, man, we all get an 8 count. I might get knocked down, but I'm getting up. I'm getting up. I might get knocked down, but give me to about 5. Let me catch my breath. Let me get my wind back. And check this out. This is good. I feel good in this church. I don't know about y'all. But you know how you be watching the movies? Everybody's seen it, right? When you, or Rocky or somebody, when you get knocked down, what start happening? You start having visions of your mama. You start having visions of when you was training. You like, you start getting all these fat. That's me, man. That's me. When we get knocked down, we got to have an 8 count. And we got to be able to remember all the reasons, blood, right? The babies, my wife, all the reasons why I got to get up. We cannot afford to stay down. I might get knocked down, but I'm getting back up. One of y'all preachers better preach that in here. I might get knocked down, but I'm getting back up. Talk to me, Pastor Donaldson. How do you stay motivated? I know you're a pastor. You got to preach every Sunday. You visiting hospitals. You praying for the sick and shed in, going to the prisons and all those types of things. How in the world do you stay motivated as a father, as a pastor, all of those things?
So I've learned the value of the portion in the Lord's Prayer where it says, give us this day. I watch people grieve. I watch people die. I watch people suffer. I watched them struggle in marriage. There's a lot of weight. I get heavy. I get tired. I get disappointed. And the way I stay motivated is I just try to win the day.
That's good, Pastor.
I can't worry about next week. If I were to look at my schedule, it would overwhelm me. So I don't look at my schedule but the day before, and I try to have reminders, you got to do this and you got to do this. But I've learned the value of just winning the day. Listen,
that's so good.
Tomorrow got problems of its own. I can't fix what happened yesterday. Lord, just give me the strength and the grace for the day. I just want to win today. Maybe I didn't win yesterday, but I want to win today. And God gives us the grace we need every day to be victorious. I can't live off of yesterday's victories. I can't. And so I just try to maximize the day. And if, as men, if we can just try to just win the day. If you're trying to stop smoking or you're trying to stop watching porn or whatever it is, just win the day. Don't worry about what it's going to look like 6 months from now. Just win the day and ask God for grace in the moment, and He'll give it to you. But we say here, it's a fight to live right. If you want to be victorious, you got to fight. And listen, there are no shortcuts. My son will tell you, if I say this phrase, those who take shortcuts get cut short. I said everywhere I go. There's no shortcuts to victory. As men, we just got to seize the moment. He'll give us enough strength and enough grace for the moment. He will, if we ask for it. But what's happened is we've seen so many models of men taking shortcuts. And so we decide to take the shortcut, and we find out that the shortcut is really the long way, because we find out that ends up being a dead end. Now I got to go all the way back and go do it the right way. And so I'm exhausted now. I am. I'm grieved now, right now. But we don't have, listen, we can't fail. We can't. I tell my son all the time, I'm not going to be here always. I know he don't want to hear it, but the reality is I'm not going to be here. I'm going to die. I don't want to leave my son. I want to see my son get married, and I want to see him have children, and I want to see him raise a family. I want to see that stuff. But I could leave knowing that, listen, I poured everything I could into him to be able to raise his kids to be the Lion Kings.
That's real good. That's good.
He calls the young because we're strong, but he calls the old because they know the way. I say it all the time, and we're gonna open the floor up for some questions. But I say it all the time: you won't accidentally become successful. You won't. If you accidentally become successful, you're gonna be unsuccessful real quick, because you don't know what it takes to sustain that which you have acquired. You learn that by working to get it, right? So when you try to take the shortcut, you bypass the lessons that's necessary for you to learn along the way, so that when you can get it, you can keep it, you can take care of it, you'll appreciate it, because you knew what it took for you to get there. I couldn't just cut across the grass and jump the fence and cut through the yard. I had to go all the way around to get it, which is a powerful thing. So thank you for that, Pastor Donaldson. Last question I want to put out, and we want to open it up to the floor. What would we say to a man, a father, that's trying, doing all they know to do, and it seems like nothing's working, and want to do better, want to be better, but it just seems like I can't win for losing. It seems like every time I take one step forward, something happens and I got to take 2 steps backwards. All I keep hearing is no. I don't know a yes if it would smack me in my face. What do we say to that father that wants to do better, wants to be better, but just haven't been able to get a break? Let me start with Blood, and we'll come down.
the first thing that really came to my mind was, just telling them, like, I got you. That's as simple as I would say it, but it's not just a 3-word statement. It's action that must come behind that. So when I tell you I got you, I really do. You know what I mean? So you're not going to hear no from me. Maybe you've heard no over and over again, but you finally come to the person that's going to tell you yes. And I'm going to put in the time necessary to get you through that next step. And honestly, I'm expecting you to help me as well. What I give to you, I hope that you can give it to me when I'm looking for that. You know what I mean? So if I just had to keep it simple, that's what I would tell that man, that father. I got you.
That's good you say that, because a lot of times just knowing that I have somebody that got my back, somebody that I could call, you know what I'm saying? Even those that are, saved and in church and all those types of things, it's we know we can go to the Lord. But it's something about having some good God-fearing men in your corner that you can talk to as well. So that goes a long way, blood. Just knowing that, again, I got another man that I can call and cry with. You know what I'm saying? I got a good friend, man. We have cried through some stuff together as man. And it doesn't make us less of a man, doesn't make us weak or anything like that. But I've literally just called bro, and we've just literally cried together. You know what I'm saying? And so that's good stuff. I got you. Clement, talk to me.
One thing, and that's really you just saying that made me feel good. I got you. I got you too.
No doubt.
And I think another thing would be I've been there. Wow. To let them know that, hey, I've been there, and you see where I'm at right now. I think that helps out a lot, knowing someone has been in your shoes, because a lot of times, us as men, like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about, especially a lot of young men. I tell my son all the time, I was 15, you were never 36. Wow. So, yeah, I think, and when that sits in his mind, thanks, Dad. I appreciate that. I needed that, or any of my friends, because a lot of times it do make us feel less of a man when we got to go ask another man. And it's like, I don't want to ask him, or I don't want to see him. I don't want him to see me crying, And another thing that I do tell my son, I say, hey, if you see a lion in the jungle crying, would you run up and smack him? He say, oh, no. I say, okay, then. He ain't got to say he a lion. Just like a man ain't got to say he a man.
That's good, man. I'm gonna use that. I'm telling you right now in your face. I'm gonna use that one. One of them say, he got that from me. I sure did. No plagiarism. I'm using that one. Good stuff. But it was powerful. I ain't got to say I'm a man. My dad used to say it all the time. If he got to tell you a man, if anybody got to tell you you're a man, he ain't no man. I'm a man. Yeah, that means, because you get it. That a lion when you see it, that's a lion. And although he may be crying, he still has all the attributes of a lion.
That's right.
That's dope. I like that. Toby, talk to me.
Well, I actually know about that. I went from $30 an hour down to $14.50 an hour because my job was going through bankruptcy. I had 5 kids at the time. I had custody of 3 of them. So when we're talking about not giving up, I know all about it. But for me, I had to go to God. I mean, I know we can talk about all these solutions. I wasn't a church kid. I was a street kid. But God revealed himself to me. Like David said, I was young and now I am old. He said, and he has never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. And I can sit here and tell you that God is faithful, that God is true. My pay went from $73,000 a year down to 30-something. I had all the same expenses. We ain't miss a meal. Nothing got cut off. All of our needs were met because I serve an awesome God. So, and let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if you faint not. So don't give up. Keep on going. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Hey.
He put the mic. He dropped the mic. Did he just drop the mic on us? No, absolutely, absolutely. These are all trick questions, by the way. If y'all haven't known, these questions is all leading back to one place. Good stuff. Pastor Donaldson, tell me, what would you say to that dad, to that man who finds himself at the end of the road, feels like he's done all he know to do, still just can't seem to find a break?
It's easy to give remedies on how to fix it, but the reality is you got to show up. You got to walk with people through their mess. All of us, none of us, we could say just up here on the stage, none of us are where we are because we got there because we were just so strong. And so, listen, we need, I've been married 35 years. 35 years. There's no way that I would have made it in my marriage were it not for a few brothers that would not let me give up. They wouldn't. I said, I'm done. They said, no, bro, you ain't done. I said, listen, this was when I was in Tennessee. I said, I'm done. And they said, no, you ain't done. They come up with some money, send us on a retreat somewhere, and we sitting in a room not talking to each other for 2 days. And we finally decided, since they put the money up, we at least gotta have a conversation. And so
the last day.
Yeah, listen, and sex ain't even part of the equation. I don't like her and she don't like me. And so it takes if we're going to be successful, we've got to understand that as men, we were never meant to walk alone.
As men,
we were never meant to walk alone. We weren't. I need Clement. I need Pastor Toby. There are people who call me. I know why they call me, but they call me and they're telling me what they're going to do, even though they know it's wrong. They're telling me because they know I'm gonna tell them, bro, you can't do that. You can't do that. Well, I'm gonna divorce my wife because X, Y, Z. I say, well, what are the biblical grounds for divorce? So you mean I gotta? Yeah, that's what the Bible says, bro. Give yourself to your wife as Christ gave himself to the church. Are you doing that? Well, I did all of this. Bro, have you given yourself to your wife in the same way that Christ gave himself to the church? How did Christ give himself to the church? He died. So are you at that point? Well, she gonna kill me. Well, you ain't dead yet. Keep on giving. So they call me because we need to hear the truth even when we're not feeling it as men. That's why they call me. I said, bro, you already know what I'm going to say. Why are you asking me? And they're asking me because they want to do the right thing. We were never meant to walk alone. We should have this type of conversation 3-4 times a year, where we can just come. It don't got to be streamed. I would say Elder Brown, and we could talk to some of our elders. We can use this, can be home base. You ain't got to be a member here. We can come and we can just be men. We can do it in the fellowship hall where it's a little bit more intimate. And if you need to cuss, you can cuss. But we got to be real. We got to be real. And then once we start opening ourselves up to be real, then people might be open to, what does the Bible say? Prior to that, they need to see the Bible. They need to see it. So you talking about all of this religious stuff? No, listen, bro. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. You think I'm not? You think when I see a pretty woman, I could just look away? No, I got to fight. I got to fight to not look at her that way.
Amen.
Yeah, these are the type of conversations we got to have. And so how do you do that? So how do you do that? How do you look at a woman without lusting for her? Well, you got to train your mind. Well, how do you do that? I got to show you. We got to disciple each other and build each other up so that we're all able to stand when the enemy comes. We gotta shoulder up our brothers. Am I my brother's keeper? Absolutely. Pastor Toby called me talking about Solange or whatever. He don't. I'm just an example, Solange. But he know I'm gonna give him the truth. I'm gonna give him the truth, and that's how. And we gotta. One of the things about Pastor Toby that I love about him that he's added to this church. This brother is raw. He's raw. It brings an authenticity to the church when the world doesn't see the church as authentic. That's why people, particularly men, are not attracted to church because it seems so hollow. And guys up there preaching and all that stuff. And listen, people are looking past that stuff. And people sitting in these pews, we did a panel a few weeks ago, people sitting in these pews, men, and they struggling. Women too, but they're struggling in silence. And then we ask those hard questions, and then you want to give this super religious answer. They don't want to hear religion. They want to hear, listen, I'm thinking about having an affair. What does the Bible say about that? Well, the Bible prohibits that. Okay, all right, amen. You leave. They don't know how to do that. They don't know how not to. We got to walk with each other. We got to, listen, we got to tell our stories. We got to share our failures and how God lifted us from our failed and broken marriage. I've been married 35 years. I finally got my wife where she needs to be. Finally.
She probably saying the same thing, Pastor. She probably said, I finally got him where I need him to be. After 35 years.
Listen, I'm here to tell you.
You got to go home.
Listen, she heard it a lot.
Pastor, we are streaming now.
I know.
This is live.
You're going to have to call Toby when you get home.
But listen, at the end of the day, man, it's a constant fight to live right. As men, it won't get easier. You don't get to a place where it gets easier. It's a constant fight. You want to eat, you got to learn how to hunt. That's what lions do. Even the old ones know how to hunt. They don't run as fast, but they're smarter about how they navigate the jungle. And we need our old lions, our older lions, to teach us how to rule the jungle.
Come on, y'all give it up for Pastor Donaldson. Dropping that wisdom up here. Let's go. Great point. Great point, Pastor Donaldson. Above all, we have to be examples to one another. And the Bible says, you know them by the fruit that they bear. And so what fruit does your tree bear? Is there any? Because if men are going to want to come and they're going to need to have somebody to talk to, need somebody to lean on, what type of fruit do you bear that would make another man feel comfortable enough to come and have a conversation with you about, again, being faithful? How do I be faithful to one wife? How do I be faithful to one woman? Because it can happen. It has to happen. Otherwise, we got a baby over here, we got a baby over there. And I remember, and I'm preaching to the choir. I remember one time I had to tell my son's mom, it is impossible for me to stretch myself out over 3 households to all 3 of my children and be everything that I need to be to my children. And I had to tell her, I said, I'm trying to figure it out. bear with me because I'm trying. But again, good stuff. Give it up for this amazing panel. Amazing. We want to open up the floor. Somebody, you may have a question for one of the panelists, or maybe you maybe want to add something to the conversation. Again, this is a safe space, and take advantage of the wisdom and knowledge that you have in the room. Again, you may have a question, or you may just want to add to one of the questions that was posed tonight. If that's you, we have microphones on all three of these aisles. If you got some input or some questions you want to add, just come on up. Just come on up. Take advantage of this wisdom.
Make sure you cut it on.
And up on this panel. This free game, y'all. Free game.
I want to thank y'all for having this panel because me personally, I have all aunts. I have no uncles. And I really don't have a real male figure in my life besides pastors that I've came up under. But my question was, how do you measure yourself as a father, and what does it mean to be a father to you? Because for me, it's legacy due to the fact that I still on this day do not know exactly who my father is. Even though I bear his first name, I don't bear his last name. And I have a son of my own. So for me, it's legacy, and I just want to know what that means for you guys.
Anybody want to go? You want to repeat the first half of that question again real quick? You want to repeat that again real quick?
How do you measure yourself as a father, and what does it mean to be a father?
Okay, good stuff. I'll say, how do I measure myself as a father? I think for me, I had a father growing up, I went to his house on the weekends. Him and my mom, they broke up before I was even born, and I went to my dad's house on the weekend, but then there was a span of time where I didn't see him at all. And so, and I think one of these gentlemen, I think it was Clement, talked about getting to a place to where you realize and come to the conclusion of what your ideal of a man looks like, right?
Correct.
And so sometimes we think a man is our big cousin. My man, when I grew up, my big cousin was a man. My big cousin sold dope. He had all the chicks, kept a nice ride, like he stayed fly the whole nine. And so that's what I thought a man was. And so that's what I was measuring manhood to. And it took me to give my life to the Lord. And it took me to establish a relationship with God for myself and redevelop and started to program my mind and identity of what a man was. And I found out that a man is one that provides. A man is one that leads by an example. And so I'm going to go biblical and spiritual now, if that's all right with y'all. When I look at manhood and fatherhood, I turn to Jesus, who is the ultimate example of all things, tempted in all manners, but sinned and failed not. And so that may sound deep and spooky, but the reality is I'm thankful for the network of men that I have. But what do I do if blood don't pick up the phone? He said he got me, and I know he do. But what happens when blood don't pick up the phone? What happens when Chauncey doesn't pick up the phone? I have to have, I don't know who y'all's savior is, but I have to have a savior. I have to have a friend that sticks closer than any of these friends, a brother that sticks closer than any one of these brothers. So my measurement of manhood and fatherhood, I got a great dad. My dad's a pastor. And all things from a natural perspective, I can look to him. But ultimately, I measure myself to Christ because, again, ultimately, he is the perfect example of what a man is. in how to carry yourself, how to deal with conflict. If you look at, he know what it's like to be turned on. He got snitched on by his own homie. Judas told on him, snitched on him, set him up. Ain't that something? Y'all know that's in the Bible? He got set up and the boys got him. he got set up and they took him to jail. But again, that's my long answer. What's y'all's? Anybody else? Anybody else? How you measuring yourself? How you measure yourself? Especially if you didn't have a father, right? What do you use as your measuring stick?
So I always think about, at times where, I just had like just bad thoughts and depression, I always thought, to myself, what is it that I will want, what can I tell God when he asks me, what have you taught your son about me? So I lead with that. I teach my son about our Lord and Savior, and again, that's how I measure, what is it that I taught him about our Lord and Savior, and what have I shown him, the walk, yeah.
That's powerful because again, what legacy do we leave for our children besides a car or some materialistic stuff? I was at one of my friends' funeral. This was years ago. He loved old schools. I mean, he had every old school ever. He would do them up. He was the mark. If you had a car, you was trying to beat Jasper. That was his name. His name was Jasper. We called him Jasper. Called him Jay. And at this funeral, I was sitting there. I love him to death. He's gone and no longer with us. At that funeral, the only thing that really could be said about him was that Jasper loved them cars. Man, he took them cars, man. I remember the 88 he had with the TVs in it, with the 20s and the da-da-da-da-da. Somebody else get up. Man, I remember Jasper. And I don't know, maybe it was only me. But I sat there and I said, man, is this all that we can say about this man and the life that he lived? Is to talk about the materialistic stuff that he had in his life. What legacy did he leave for his children? What type of financial stability did he leave for his children? What type of businesses did he leave for his children? It's got to be something past the material stuff. What legacy do we leave for our children? Pastor Donaldson, Blood?
So I think about people like Mr. Harrell. Mr. Harrell is a class act. And I think I knew his son before I knew him. So his son is a chip off of the old block. And so that's legacy. When you can pass down something to your son. And as far as the measuring, we got to stop measuring ourselves. I think that's one of the traps of the enemy, is to get us to measure ourselves to this false standard. Whatever God gave you, use what he gave you and give that to your kids. You're the only one that has your fingerprint. Your child is your child on purpose. You don't have to try to be a father like somebody else, because God didn't make you like somebody else. You're the only one that has your fingerprint. So I think once we start getting comfortable with who God made us, then we can pour into our kids without a measuring rod. Listen, I have one child, and I failed in a lot of different areas. I have. And I share that. I wish I would have did better. I wasn't trying to fail, but I failed. But you know what? That's behind me. I'm going to try to get it right today. And if I mess up today, I'm going to try to get it right tomorrow. I'm not trying to live up to, listen, these standards in measuring rods are literally killing us. We got a child and you got 2 kids and 3, 4, and you're trying to measure up to these. Listen, just give them what you have. Listen, use the rod that God gave you. God told Moses, he's talking about all of this stuff. He says, what is that you have in your hand? Use that. A stick. If God gave you a stick, use your stick. And then leave the results up to him. Listen, I know that I'm flawed. I did my best. I'm doing my best. But God has more. This makes me emotional because it's the truth. God has more invested in my son than I do. He has much more invested in my son than I do. And so I'm going to do the best I can to give him what I got. But that's God's kid. That's God's kids. And the best thing I can do is to give them back to God. And I'm going to try to give him what I got. But ultimately, I need to give him to God and let God shape him the way that God wants to shape him. I'm not trying to be like you, my brother. Listen, I can't lift 200 pounds. Yeah, listen, I could do some stuff that you can't do. So let's kill the measuring rod and just encourage each other. How about that?
Come on, Pastor. Pastor in the building, dropping that game. I mean that knowledge, amen.
I think the greatest gift that you can give your children, besides the Lord, is love. I have 5 sons, and my son here, he's 30, and we still hold hands. And, my wife in the back, she think it's weird because the greatest gift that I can give all of my sons is love. And listen, there are no perfect parents because there are no perfect people. So when you mess up, fess up, confess it, and just keep on moving and just keep on loving your children and keep showing up and keep being there for them. That's the greatest advice that I can give anyone.
Yeah, Pastor was talking about using what you got, and you talked about the rod, and God told Moses to look what you got in your hand. When you said that, I thought about David when he went down to take his brother some food, and they was all scared of the giant, and he said, "I'll fight him. Right. I beat the bear, the lion. I destroyed the lion with my bare hands." And they tried to give him the armor, and he said, I don't need that stuff. It don't fit me, right? But he said, I'll use what I got, which was a slingshot and 2 little stones. And that's what he used. And so I love, and I thank God for Pastor Donaldson and the wisdom that he's given us tonight. I need y'all to understand how blessed we are to have this wisdom tonight. And he's right. We got to stop measuring ourselves to others. We got to stop measuring. And I think we do it. It's a human thing for us to do. We see other people, we see what they have, and we want to get up. We want to one up. We want to do better than them. But now realizing, and as you were talking, and I'm going to get this question, the measurement to me of how good of a father I am is my kids and the look in their eyes and and me being able to know that I'm providing for them. Like Blood said, there's no price tag, there's no dollar amount that you could put on your children running to you, welcoming you when you get home. My son, he's 6. He hear that garage door opener, and he on his way. I don't care where he at in the house. When he hear that garage door opener, Daddy! And no matter what my day was like it changes that moment, and that's the measuring right there. So whether you did or did not have a father, I said it earlier, you get to decide and you get to choose the dad that you want to be. And with the help of God, you can be that. So good question, my man. My man, what you got?
I got a question and something to add. The question is, what was taken from us that didn't allow us to be men? Because we born in the world as a male, growing into be men. So with that question is, how do you not become a man even though you can't pay a bill? Because a man is judged on how well he can maintain his woman. So what I have to add to that is, I found a way that every man can be a man in the house again. And that is to eliminate all bills. Now you have time to be creative. You have time to cradle your child. You have time to produce for your family. And that's what I had to add from that question.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I need to know how you eliminated them bills. That's what I need to learn how you did. You left that out, would you? How you?
How do we do that?
You figured out how to do it, nigga. Get back to that mic and tell us how you do that. My man, I'm messing with you. Great question, man.
All right, this is not really a question. This is an add-on. First and foremost, I want to thank you, brothers, for having something like this. I'm not from here. I'm from Pittsburgh. All right, and my brother asked me to come up here. I left work early. I worked at UPMC, and I came all the way up here, and we're riding, and I'm trying to figure out, what's going to happen? What am I going to see? Who's going to be here? And I just want to say, man, I'm really, really appreciate what you brothers have put together here. Now, I just want to share something because I heard y'all talking. I did 32 years in Pennsylvania's DOC. Sort of like Lucasville and Mansfield, I was at Graterford and I was at Pittsburgh. And after 32 years coming home and looking around and seeing what type of men I left to the type of men I came home to. And while I was there, we had a lot of issues and things going on. But it was gentlemen like you that came through that introduced us a way to think differently, to understand what it is to be the difference between being a male and being a man. All right? And I want to say something to you, Pastor. It's amazing because we came all the way from there and we got right to the driveway and our car broke down. All right? And the confirmation for me was I had been asked last week to join the board of directors for a three-quarter house. And I've been kind of iffy about it. I said, I don't want to get pulled back in that. After 32 years, I don't want to get pulled back into that. I want to leave that behind me. But I understand why the front view is bigger than the rear view. And for me to be able to look back, I have to look forward. And when I came here today, it was confirmation from the Most High that this is exactly where He wants me to be. Sharing my story, but also giving testimony and talking about these things like this. Now, here's the add-on, because I heard you gentlemen talking, and I remember how I had classes. We did violence prevention. We did manhood classes. We dealt with domestic violence. And I was pulling out the Bible, and I remember the instructor would look at me and shake their head, and I would just be like, this is where we're beginning. All right? And I will go to Deuteronomy 28 because I heard us talking about where we start. And I remember the blessings and the curses for obedience. And this is the one thing that I found out, that we don't have the fortitude of obedience. We can obey our coaches. We can obey street, laws or street things. But when it came to obeying the Father, that's where we fell short. So I always start with these young men about the obedience and what happens with curses and blessings, which were those consequences. So I just want to let you gentlemen know, this is a consequence of obedience, of finding the Father and knowing when he's speaking to you. This is my burning bush moment. And I want to thank you, gentlemen, for allowing me to have that and come here and just hear the words that you shared. Because you guys could have been anywhere, but you choose to came here tonight. And for that, I give you honor and I give you, gentlemen, respect. Thank you.
I thank you.
Wow.
Hey, man, we thank you for coming, man. That was, you talk about obedience, and, one thing I always talk about is alignment and purpose. And you don't realize how significant your purpose is to the purpose of someone else. You understand what I mean? So if I fail to fulfill my purpose, that leads to someone else possibly not living out theirs. So every step and every move that you make, even you coming down and driving from Pittsburgh, if you decided not to come, I may have missed out on what you just gave me. Yo, yeah, your car broke down and we're going to figure that out for you. But, I needed to hear what you just provided. I would have missed that lesson if you did not come tonight. You know what I mean? So keep that in the forefront of your mind and everything that you're doing. You are purpose driven. You have to work as hard as you possibly can to remain in alignment. You talked a little bit about something. There was a conversation. Chauncey and I went out to a prison a little while ago, and one of the topics that we touched on was the idea of dying with a smile. Slightly morbid, understood, but you want to live a fulfilled life. You want to leave a legacy strong enough for your kids to continue what you taught. So when I do come to that moment where I have to go back to the earth, my energy goes back to the earth, I want to make sure that I can do that with a smile on my face, because I know I lived the life that was destined for me. But go ahead, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just got a few things to add. My father wasn't really in my life, but he was there enough for me to know what to do. But, after my dad died back in 2016, I fell into a deep depression and, didn't know how to talk about my feelings. And, I really looked up to my big brother. And then when my brother graduated, he moved away. And I was surrounded by, a lot of females, didn't know how to express a lot of my feelings. And, actually last year, I met a couple people, Youngblood, Chauncey, and, my head pastor, and they really, treat me like a son. And I looked at, Youngblood, Chauncey, and my other pastor, I looked at them like a father, someone that I can talk to, someone I can feel safe around. And I just really want to say thank every single one of you guys and Chauncey for just being there. And I just want to, just wanted to share that.
Come on, let's go, man. Awesome. And that's what it's really all about, being able to step up and be a light shining from the hill, so that people, again, and so you had to have some sort of fruit that was displayed in order to draw him to you guys. So thank you guys for that. And again, all of us, man, somebody's watching. Somebody is watching, right? And so again, just great stuff. What you got, man? Oh, okay. My fault. I didn't see you over there.
Let me see the hands of anybody here that's found yourself in impossible situations, tough situations. Because one thing I've learned from my Bible study and living life is God will put you sooner or later in an impossible situation so he can teach you to look up to him and watch him deliver you as you attempt to do the right thing. He'll meet you wherever you're at. And remember this, God, Jesus Christ, is the perfect man, perfect in all his ways. So if you want a role model, learn all you can about what Jesus taught. All those things he said, they're not easy to understand, but if you hang with it, he will give you the understanding. So when that impossible situation shows up, look up, Lord, help me.
Look up. Come on, y'all give it up for that wisdom. Some more wisdom in the room. Let's go. All of us been in an impossible situation. And if you look back over your life, if he did it before, he could do it again. And so we've all been in impossible situations, but we still here, right? We made it. It didn't kill us. My God, how you doing, man? What you got for us?
My turn?
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you, gentlemen. I needed this. Mr. Youngblood, thank you for inviting me. Like this gentleman, I can't speak as well as you did. But I didn't know what to expect. Let me get up to speed. Let me see what the brothers are talking about. Let me see what's going on in my community a little bit more. Maybe I can understand what the news is saying, or do you believe what's on the news? So I want to thank you guys for coming, because everybody wants to learn. You should be wanting to learn, and you should be wanting to speak about it. I'm sorry. Nothing talking into the mic. But I'm glad I'm here, and these guys just have more. You'll see me again. I'm going to keep it short because I can get a little winded. Mr. Donaldson, I remember your father. I played with your brother for the Rand back in the day, and he motivated us all. And am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I remember. I remember him at the lumber yard. But back to my father as a positive role model, strong. Are we too strong or are we too light on these kids, young men or women? I speak about my grandson. I looked at him the other day like, y'all let him talk like that? Is that what's new out here? My father wouldn't have ever allowed my mother. I think she used to pop me in my mouth. Say the wrong thing, act up, and you can't go to the bathroom in church. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different world. So I'm trying to learn how to deal with my grandchildren in this new world. But the old days and old school worked. And I'm sure you guys can agree with that. Thank you for your time, brothers.
Thank you, brother. Just my son and I, when we would go in public places, if we went to a mall and we saw some kids walking and they might be cussing or something, my son would say, he's a real smart kid. He'd say, keep walking, Dad. He said, because he knew I was about to go over there. It didn't matter how many it was, I was going to go confront those young men. Not to just call them out, but to call them up. You understand what I'm saying? We can't be afraid to call these young people up, because there's like a confrontation. All confrontation is not bad, but if I can make you think in a different way, then we're at a crossroads, and so that confrontation can work for you. So just a encouragement. Listen, I know these kids are hard-headed, but they're listening. They're listening to you. If you would just love them enough to encourage them, there's no telling what God will do with that.
Good stuff. This is our last question, and we're going to get out of here. What you got, boss, for us?
How you doing? First of all, I want to thank everybody on the panel. I want to thank everybody on the panel for coming out here. This is something everybody need. But I guess what I have is to add. First, one of the comments that you brothers made was about Jesus being a fisher of men, right? When you fish men, as a fisher, the fish don't know what's coming. It's bait to wheel them in. I watch the news every day, multiple times a day, and I see a bunch of marches for violence and stop the violence. Every time I see it on these news clips, it's a bunch of old folks. And I'd be like, these ain't the ones who need the message. Right. As I look around this room, it's like 75% elders. Bait. We're in an age of internet. This should be a live feed, even if they're not physically here. This should be on a live feed. You got to figure out bait. He talked about your man Jay with the cars and all that. Jasper, it's got to be a way to bait younger people in, because the problem, like another comment you said was you was quoting Frederick Douglass. It's easier to build children than to repair broken men. It's this wisdom in this room. It shouldn't be contained to 75% seniors and 25% youth. So you got to use the tools that you guys have at your disposal. Social media, marketed as a party. Think it's a party. It's a party. And then before you know, everybody's sitting eating, here goes the panel. But it's got to be ways to get to the. I'm tired of seeing marches for violence, and the audience marching is a bunch of seniors. I'm like, they're not violent. So, only thing. This is all I have to add, because I'm a person who is very observant, and I can't help it. If my eyes touch it, my ears touch it, I'm chopping it up. And whatever the Most High gives me as a morsel, then I'm gonna give it. But there has to be a way to get these type of panels out to a wider young audience. And as a fisher, you got to figure out how to bait them in. Peace.
Yes, sir. Good stuff. Good stuff. So I think one of the things that's a great point. And again, I just want to give a quick plug to the work we're doing here in Youngstown with the round table. That's the second and fourth Thursday of every month. And so I encourage you, bro, to get involved with that. We'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas on what they biting on these days.
He's a regular at the round table, actually.
I'm sorry, one last thing.
Yes, sir.
We close this circle with respect and gratitude. We leave with clearer minds,
Salute.
stronger hearts, and the bond of brotherhood unbroken. Until we meet again, Salute. This round table stands within us.
He just want the money.
He just wanted $50 right there, too.
My bad. He didn't came
Salute,
up here and
though,
hit me with the thing. My bad, bro. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. We got one more and we're going to get out of here. Yes, sir.
I just want to add to it a little bit, but a little background. I was a teenage father. I was a teenage dad at 16 years old. And to me, it's an honor to be a father. But when we talk about fatherhood, y'all all have talked about God, but we can't, and this brother said something about blessings and curses, you know what I mean? And we talked about images, you know what I mean, about your buddy. In our community, we got the wrong image of what it means to be a father and what it means to be a man. A lot of times, my dad, he thought if he couldn't show up with his wallet, that he wasn't a man, you know what I mean? And it's more to being a father than just providing stuff for your kids. Y'all said this, but the one verse that has always stood out to me as a father, because growing up without my dad, I'll say this, growing up, I was intimidated by the role of being a father. Because when you ain't never seen one modeled out in the house, what do you know what it's like to be a father? But there's a verse in the Bible in Psalms 127, it says, except the Lord built the house, they labor in vain that build it. Okay, it said, except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. When you go buy a new car and you get it from the manufacturer, inside the car, there's an owner's manual that tell you how to operate that vehicle. Well, the thing is this, the Bible is our owner's manual for fatherhood. You get what I'm saying? When we look at God the Father, he gives us a perfect picture of what it means to be a father. But one of the things I've done, because like I said, we're raising my kids, they're all grown now. I used to be like, question myself, am I being a good dad? So I came up with this thing called the parent report card. You know what I mean? So where I ask my kids, you know what I mean? Am I showing up for you the way you need me to? Because all of our kids don't receive love the same way. You get what I'm saying? So the main thing I would say is this, what they said, don't ever use another man as your measuring stick on if you're a good father or not. And if your kids are older enough, ask your children. And sometimes as men, we don't want to be told by our kids that we ain't doing it right. You know what I mean? We got a pride thing, you know what I mean? And my daughter had to tell me like, Dad, you was a good dad, you know what I mean, as a little girl, but when I became a teenager, you was a horrible father. And that hurted her, hearing her say that. Because here's my thing. What was I trying to do? Show up with the wallet. You know what I mean? My dad wasn't present, so my thing was, I'm going to be present, but I'm going to try to give them everything. Sometimes you give your kids all the material things in the world, but you don't give them you. You don't give them you. Just being there for them, to love them. My son, my youngest son, he married. So my son, he got married, and he got married against my advice. I should say this. But man, you know what, and you know, so he going through some things. But the biggest blessing for me, when he came home 2 weeks ago, and he broke down and he cried in my arms, and I was able to hug him and kiss him, I was like, that was gold. You know what I mean? Because when I went through stuff in my marriage, I didn't have no daddy around. So here's the thing, y'all. It ain't only the kids that need daddies. Men need daddies. Us men, we need other men. Told, you know, he was talking up there. A lot of times me and him talk about a lot of things. And look, man, we got to be in a position where we're willing to be vulnerable. You know what I mean? Just like the president. The president got a cabinet of people that advises him. And I'm just using that title as a role. We got to get some people in our lives that we can be vulnerable with, that we can be transparent with, that can help us do this. I can't do fatherhood by myself. I'm going to say this one last thing. It was a situation a couple years ago. My daughter, 32 years old, she was in a relationship with her kid's father. He was knuckling her, going upside her head. Unbeknownst to me, I found out about it. Now, I'm an old street boy, so I'm ready to tighten him up, you know what I mean? But like Pastor Donaldson said, what did I do? I got on the phone, I called Tobe. I said, Tobe, man, I got this joker, man. He lumping my daughter. He lumping my daughter up, and she won't tell me, because you know how girls is when they fall in love. They want to, oh, Dad. So I said, bro, I'm about to do something to him. Tobe said, bro, what would Jesus do? Tobe said, what would Jesus do? I didn't want to hear what would Jesus do. Negro, I want to know if you ready to go, because I'm ready to go tighten him up. But the thing is this, man, this panel is beautiful. We need this on a regular basis, man. This is something that got to be happening at least once a quarter, because doing manhood by yourself, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. But I thank God for y'all, man.
While you're clapping, can you put your hands together for our great panelists today? Put your hands together for all of our panelists who have done a great job today. While you're clapping, put your hands together for Pastor Donaldson and Rising Star Baptist Church for opening up their doors to us. To Sister Christina, who cooked a great meal for us. To Chauncey, who is our coordinator here in Youngstown. To Blood, our partner. And to all of you all who came out tonight. It sounds like we got to run this back. That sounds like that's what the consensus is. We got to run it back. And we got to get bro to help us figure out what bait we put on it. Any fishes in here, you know, depending on what type of fish you fishing for, you got to change the bait. Yeah, so we got to figure out what bait we got to use to get some of those young guys in here. But again, thank you all for coming out. You pointing, I don't know what you're pointing at. Tell me.
So any fathers that got kids 18 years old or younger, we might have some things for you as fathers. We're at a program here for fatherhood, but also for those that came today that has a kid 18 or younger, we have some utility assistance for you. So see me at the table after he's done closing.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for that. Yeah, so again, just a token of our appreciation. If you have not signed up and if you're not a part of the program that we have here, we'd love to get you signed up. And as our thank you in us helping lift and lighten the weight of fatherhood, we want to contribute $150 towards your utility bill. So again, if you have a child under 18, and if you're not currently involved, if you are currently enrolled, we'll figure out something to do for those dads as well. But if you're not currently enrolled in any of our programming, we want to get you signed up today. And if you could do us a favor and tell a dad about our program, tell a dad about the resources that we have available, tell a dad about the roundtable. Again, we're meeting there every second and fourth Thursday. We switch it up and we go somewhere different. There's usually some food involved. Where are we going to be at this? Do we know where we're going to be at next week?
Yeah, I was going to, one thing and we can also share with guys, we actually started an online community. It's our own personal social media website. It's invite only. right? But this gives you the opportunity to come in there, share your thoughts, share these affirmations, and also just keep up with things that are going on throughout our community, specifically where we're going to hold our sessions. Our next one will probably be at 435 Gypsy Lane at Evolve, right across from Northside Hospital, very easy to find. Before you guys go, what I'll do, Chauncey, as they're coming to the table, I'll have that invite prepared and ready for you, so hopefully you can join the community. Yep.
Awesome. Well, this has been great. Again, thank you all for coming out. Can't thank you enough, Pastor Donaldson, who graciously opened his arms to the idea and was on board the moment we had a conversation. So again, Pastor Donaldson and the entire Rising Star Baptist Church, we say thank you. And let's stay connected, y'all. Let's not do this just as a one-off, but let's do this again. So thank y'all for coming out. God bless. Good night.